On January 30th, 1989, a man walked into the Chambly Domino's location brandishing a .357 Magnum at employees. What followed is one of the most interesting, bizarre, and absurd standoffs in all of US history, all revolving around the infamous Domino's mascot, the Noid. This is the wild and wacky story of the Domino's hostage situation. So I had never heard of this story before, but thankfully my good friend Lloyd Kuhn Forever on YouTube, check him out, link in the description, recommended this to me. So once I started research on it, I knew I had to make a video about it. But without further ado, let's get into it. We all know Domino's Pizza and their creative marketing efforts. Some more modern examples include the 2018 campaign of repairing potholes around the United States, doing what the Department of Transportation in most states are unable to, especially Texas. Or what about in 2016, when they completed the first ever pizza delivered by an unmanned aerial drone in New Zealand? There's another campaign that you all should know very well, and that is Avoid the Noid. This was Domino's own attempt at an antagonistic mascot. Introduced in 1986, the Noid was supposed to be a physical embodiment or manifestation of the various challenges faced by delivering pizzas in 30 minutes or less. Basically, people were complaining that their pizzas were getting there reeking of cigarette smoke, and it looks like they had been fucking tossed out the window and then picked back up. So this guy was supposed to be the embodiment of that. He's the reason that this keeps happening, and not the minimum wage high school delivery drivers. He was featured in various television ads from the years 1986 to about 1990 or so, always using claymation. There's plenty of these online, you can find them on YouTube. There was even a cartoon series in the works revolving around the characters, but complaints arose from more rational thinkers asking, why? I mean, it's just a marketing campaign. I don't know how attached kids are going to be to this scary looking little creature. I don't know how much content they had planned for the Noid cinematic universe, but plenty is thrust into the public light with this story that's about to come up. Thus started the Avoid the Noid marketing campaign, which continued over the next 3 years, displaying the character trying everything in his power to defile, deflower, and otherwise maim these delectable pizzas en route from the Domino's to your home. I watched a few of the ads for this video and I got waves of repressed, horrific memories rushing back. I mean, I never watched these on TV, but whenever they would relaunch or I would see anything online about the Noid, because they did relaunch the ad a little bit sometimes, it would send shivers down my spine. I swear I had nightmares about this thing as a child. I can't express exactly what about his gross little face triggers a fight or flight response in me, but I don't like it. And it was watching these commercials that a man became ever more agitated and antagonized by them. This man thought that Domino's was purposely antagonizing him specifically. Why would he think that, you may ask? Well, this man was named Kenneth Lamar Noid. And Mr. Noid wasn't exactly all there. Noid unfortunately suffered from multiple unnamed mental illnesses. I couldn't really find exactly what he suffered from online, but the common consensus seems to be undiagnosed and untreated schizophrenia, and a combination of that and something else. And after months of paranoia and frustration building up for Noid, he had enough and proceeded to execute his sort of plan, which, as you'll see, it didn't really seem like he had anything concrete laid out. On the afternoon of January 30th, 1989, Noid barged into his local Domino's pizza restaurant armed with a .357 Magnum revolver, taking 2 employees working at the time as his hostages. These employees were Sean Burnside and Daryl Wilson. Burnside in later interviews described Noid as being an over 6-foot-tall angry man brandishing a revolver, demanding the money that he was owed by Domino's for using his name in such an antagonistic manner. He demanded to speak with the then CEO and founder of Domino's, Tom Monaghan. Now, unfortunately, these employees did not have a direct line to the CEO, as most employees in retail spaces usually don't. Instead, Burnside selected to call the employee safety line, which turned out to be a good gamble, as he, quote, knew that this phone line would be answered. I'm guessing if he would have called his manager, it wouldn't have been very good. Burnside is later quoted as saying, "I'm pretty sure she thought it was a joke at first. About a second or two later, he fired a couple of shots into the ceiling and the lady's demeanor completely changed. So we're already coming in hot. I mean, this is probably less than 10 minutes into the situation." You may be wondering to yourself, well, why didn't he just call the police? But considering how already unpredictable and volatile this situation was, I think that if he were to outright just call the police immediately and not comply with the hostage taker's demands, it could have ended a lot more poorly. So instead, the employees elected elected to call John Domino, and it worked out for them. After the phone operator realized just how dire this situation was, Noid could be heard over the phone shouting loudly that he would kill Burnside if the police showed up. So yeah, that's a pretty good reason not to call him, I suppose. After that, Noid hung up the phone, to which hostage negotiators immediately started ringing the phones off the walls at the Domino's, hoping to secure the release of the hostages before the larger police force arrived, which was inevitably coming. Unfortunately, this did not end up happening, and when that larger force arrived, Noid fired 4 more shots into the ceiling. Thankfully, the police did not return fire at this time. Now, for our astute observers in the audience, you'll know that I mentioned that he had a revolver. If anyone knows anything about revolvers, they know that they have 6 rounds in the chamber usually, and for a .357 Magnum, I'm going to say that is a safe assumption. Now, if we use our quick maths, we can deduce that he is out of ammo at this time, and nowhere in any of the sources that I found said that he had carried any extra. So it's unclear if the employees were in any actual danger of, say, a gunshot at this time, other than from police, but Waco, if you want me to make a video on that, comment down below. I would love to. I know a lot about it, and it gets me fired up. However, there was still perceived threat. Obviously, I mean, it's a 6-foot tall man brandishing a firearm. Even if it is out of ammo, pretty serious situation. This was only the beginning of what turned into a 5-hour standoff with police inside of a Domino's pizza. Over the following hours, Noid went back and forth from rational to irrational statements, at one point asking for $100,000 in cash and a white limousine for a getaway car, later changing this to having a private plane land near the Domino's so he could use it to fly to Mexico to get away, and at one point even negotiating the release of one of the hostages in exchange for a copy of The Widow's Son by Robert Anton Wilson, in which the protagonist knows that he is destined to play a major role in a group of secret societies in pre-revolution France. I don't know exactly if this was like a literally me moment, but you know, there might be a connection there. Oh my god.
John Domino
Needs me? Okay, I'll do it. I'm going to bat for you.
Domino's.
However, the police obliged with this request, and upon delivery of the book, Noid rescinded his offer and kept the book and the hostages, so we didn't really get very far with that one. Meanwhile, at Domino's HQ, folks in charge were understandably frantic, with even the CEO, Tom Monaghan, offering his own private plane to be used if that meant the hostages would be free. He's like, I don't care, land that sumbitch right in front of it, just get them boys out of there. They're our front line, boy. As the situation became more and more tense, Burnside attempted to calm the Noid... Not the Noid. Burnside attempted to calm Noid down by sympathizing more with him, which seemed to have some positive effect. Noid then demanded a couple of pizzas from the workers, to which they of course obliged. He ordered an extravaganza pizza. I say that because it's spelled like this, with 2 capital Z's. I don't know. With 4 kinds of meats, several vegetables, as well as extra mozzarella. I mean, if you're holding a pizza place hostage, you might as well make the most out of it, right? The employees, however, were not allowed to cut the pizza, as Noid feared that they would use the pizza cutter against him in an attempt to escape. I don't know how effective one of those dull, rolly pizza cutters would be, but you could probably get somebody with it. I have never had any luck in my entire life using one of those. I just use a big old kitchen knife when I'm cutting a pizza. Yeah, I don't know. We have one, but it's the most dull thing I've ever used in my life. I regret to inform you that it is unclear whether Noid paid for the exquisitely crafted pizza or not. Soon after this, having a little snack in his tummy, Noid agreed to allow an officer to come inside the restaurant to negotiate for the hostage's release. It was while Noid was distracted talking to the officer and eating his pizza that the 2 employees managed to unlock the door and run out before Noid had any time to react. The whole time, while the revolver was still sitting in his lap. And shortly after 5 p.m., Noid finally surrendered to the police, ending the standoff. Noid was charged with kidnapping, aggravated assault, extortion, and possession of a firearm during a crime. However, jury found him not guilty due to insanity. Understandably, he was subsequently sent to a mental institution, and on February 23, 1995, Noid tragically took his own life in this institution. Very quickly after this, the Avoid the Noid advertising campaign was put to bed, most people believing this incident to be the final nail in the coffin for the character, but Domino's vehemently denies that this is the case to this day. They say that decision was based solely on declining interest in the character and just wanting to change it up, get something fresh, I suppose. Yeah, we were planning on still using it. We were going to actually set up a new advertising skit involving this exact situation, but guys at the higher ups said no can do. Something about a bad brand image, I don't know. We had the whole thing filmed, planned out, animated, it was ready to go. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like somewhere out there in the ether, I've seen something with the Noid character brandishing a 357 Magnum, and I understand now that that was based on this actual real-life situation. If I find it, I'll include it in this. And with this, it concludes our story of the 1989 Domino's hostage situation. At first, I saw a bunch of shorter videos on this, and I was like, I'll make a longer one, but I understand now why they're shorter. There's not a ton of information out there on this. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. If you want to see more like this, subscribe, comment, like, everything, please, for me. Thank you. Bye-bye.